Saqqara, Egypt. Located approximately 20 miles south of Cairo, it is home to the world-famous stepped pyramid of King Djoser, more than 4,000 years old. It is the oldest of Egypt's 97 pyramids. Saqqara is also famous for being one of Egypt's oldest cemeteries, earning it the nickname City of the Dead. It was here, in 1891, that French archaeologists unearthed an ancient tomb containing the burial remains of Padi Iman, a 3rd century BC official. Among the various items, discovered was a small wooden model of what appeared to be a bird, next to a papyrus with the inscription, "I want to fly." The artifact was later sent to the Cairo Museum, where authorities placed it alongside several other bird figures. The model went unnoticed until 1969, when Egyptologist Dr. Khalil Masih was examining the bird collection and noticed that there was something very different about the Saqqara bird. It's interesting because on the one hand, it should clearly look like a bird, because it has eyes and has a typical bird nose. On the other hand, wings are clearly not bird wings. In the center of the rump, you can see that the wing is a little thicker. In this region, the uprising is the highest. Everything gets thinner until the end of the wings, and those wings are modeled down. And this is a very modern aerodynamic design. So the other point is that birds don't have rudders, because a bird doesn't need a rudder because of its aerodynamic architecture. And so is the idea that they are not representing birds, but flying machines or airplanes. Could the ancient Egyptians have possessed the power to fly? In 2006, Aviation and Aerodynamics expert Simon Sanderson built a scale model of the Saqqara bird, 5 times larger than the original, to test that possibility. Tests show that the Saqqara bird is a highly developed glider, and this is a design we use today. During Sanderson's tests, it was discovered that the only thing preventing the Saqqara bird from achieving flight was the lack of a rear stabilizer rudder or elevator needed to maintain balance. Is it possible that the Saqqara bird ever possessed this critical component? What's missing is something like an elevator. But if you look at this feature here, then we can interpret that something like an elevator was connected here, but it got lost during history. But if the Saqqara bird is capable of flying, where would the ancient Egyptians have acquired such technologies? I believe that people in ancient times were visited by beings who did not come from this earth and gave us culture and scientific technologies to improve our life on Earth, coming from primitive culture to a higher developed culture. If ancient cultures could produce any truly flyable machine, they would be far more advanced than we think today. So it changes our view of ancient societies. It is a fact that our ancestors were smarter and had more technological superiority capabilities than our history books give them credit for. 7,000 miles from Egypt, Colombia's dense jungles and rugged mountains contain a wealth of archaeological sites. Many treasure hunters believe that the legendary Golden City, El Dorado, is hidden here, somewhere under a thick canopy of trees. While the mythical metropolis has never been found, in the early 20th century, grave robbers searching along the Magdalena River stumbled upon a 1,500-year-old tomb of a pre-Columbian civilization known as the Tolima. Among the funerary objects found were hundreds of small 2 to 3-inch gold figures. Many of them looked like insects and fish. However, of those hundreds they found, they also found about a dozen that are eerily reminiscent of modern fighter jets. They have a triangular shape, have a vertical tail fin, stabilizers, and a fuselage. And they have nothing in common with anything similar in nature. Could these gold objects really be proof that Earth has been visited by ancient extraterrestrials? One of the objects shows typical swept wings, as with a modern aircraft. And if you compare it to something like a space shuttle, you see that the basic shape of the wing is very similar to the wing shapes for high-speed aerodynamic bodies like a space shuttle. There isn't a single insect in the world that has its wings in the background. Now, when you exclude the possibility that it's an insect, one of the things that's left is the fact that this is actually, yes, what it looks like, an airplane. In 1997, German aviation experts such as Algern Ingbaum and Peter Belting set out to test speculation by building a scale replica of the Gold Flyer, fully equipped with landing gear and a working engine. It was pretty simple because we don't need to put many parts to this shape because this shape is perfect. The natives did everything 2,000 years ago. They didn't add an inch or remove an inch. They essentially blew the little thing up into a bigger size. I mean, this is sensational that pre-Columbian culture knew about aerodynamics. Once completed, the remote-controlled flyer took off on an impromptu track and flew. When you see this take off, you really feel like this is the real deal. It was a very successful test and showed us how perfect the old people who were working on the aerodynamic design were, which shows you that there must be something happening. We're not quite sure how he did it, but that he did it. This is applied science. This isn't just thinking somewhere. These are people who go out and make sure and show with eyes to see. Anyone can see this, that this is real, this is genuine. This little thing in a museum could fly. So we have two examples on the opposite side of the planet, and both examples are aerodynamically solid and fly. So to suggest that this is all a coincidence, I mean, after a while, even the coincidence no longer makes sense. Could the ancients have seen real entities like ancient gods, ancient astronauts flying in what amounted to modern planes? The answer to these questions can be found in ancient documents describing flight patterns, aircraft specifications, and even aerial battles in remarkable detail. Over the past 50 years, NASA has sent astronauts into space inside large rockets. This method has been described by some as simply putting a man in a big firecracker and lighting the fuse. Man's ability to travel farther into space will require more advanced propulsion systems. Several are being investigated by NASA. There are a wide variety of advanced propulsion technologies being actively developed and studied by NASA and other researchers. A really exotic version of that is to use a launch assistance catapult. You use technology derived from magnetic levitation trains to build a magni-sled that carries your rocket, lifts it to about Mach 1, and then launches the rocket from it. While these futuristic propulsion systems seem like something out of science fiction, ancient alien theorists believe that past civilizations possessed these same advanced technologies. They point to a number of cultural myths describing people from heaven who come to Earth in fire-breathing dragons or metal-looking machines as proof of extraterrestrial visits. But could these aircraft have come to Earth using the same kind of propulsion systems we use today?